Danger Aware has a brand new tabletop game. But unfortunately, the cost of production prevents us from making them as quickly and in mass as we would like. As a matter of fact, it takes us a full week to produce just a single game of the Respect My Personal Space game. And here you can see the process of the 3D printer printing out the space base. This has the neutral zone and little pegs for snapping on what we call the zones. This is the landing zone, and around the outer edges will be the outer zones, and these are in red, yellow, green, and blue. And each zone has 12 sectors, and they are numbered. And each zone has 2 teleporters. So at 01 and 02, we place teleporters that allow teleporting to other 01 or 02 locations around the outer zone. Then we have our specialty markers, which provide different effects during play. And we have the spire that everything balances on. Next, you can see here we're printing the army of the green astronauts. And here's one up close. The support material simply pulls away very quickly and easily, leaving you just the astronauts. And this is the specialty die, and it has 1, 2, 3, 4, and then an asteroid and a rocket. And the asteroid and rocket have the same effect as they do in the specialty markers. And finally, we've got the whole game here and each of the different parts that need to be printed in order to play the game, because we need people to 3D print these out to share them with others. Once you have printed out all the parts for your Respect My Personal Space game, you want to be able to put things together. So we start with the space base, and as you can see, every space has a number on it, and number 1 is down here at the bottom. And when we take the landing zone, which is the white part here, and we put it on, we want to make sure that the number 1 lines up with the number 1 on the space base. So we peel the backing off of the landing zone here, just that easy. So it just pulls apart, and we clean up the edges a little bit here. If you have a little knife or a lighter, you can clean it up if you like, but I just put it together as is. This simply snaps in on the top of the board, just like that. Nice solid connection and connect it in. So then we take the red outer zone, and the red number 1 lines up with the neutral zone 1 and the landing zone 1. So we snap the red section into place, just like that. Then we go with green, going clockwise, and we snap that into place. Then we go with blue and snap that into place, and then finally yellow. There we go. So that completes the basic board layout for the Respect My Personal Space game. That's how you assemble it once you've 3D printed out each of the various parts. Then of course we go with the spire to balance it, the astronauts for play, the specialty markers, and the die. So now we've got to put on our teleporters, so we're going to break them loose from this support material and just place them all on the board like this. I'm just putting my thumbnail
underneath the edge and pushing, and it just pops right off. So we end up with a piece of support trash. So again, with these, just right under the edge, and they come right off, just like that. And then each of these teleporters are plugged into the holes around the outer edges of the outer zones. So each of the outer zones has 2 holes, and these just pop in like this. Now that one's got a little extra plastic, there we go. And they just pop in. The rest of these just pop in. Those two are strung together. And that takes care of the transporters. And we've got our board finished. Just like that. The spinner has a printout that gets pasted to the face of it. And once you've got the face pasted on, that's what it looks like. And then we just plug in the little arrow and it spins. So that's the full game. Respect my personal space.
Then to play the game, we start by covering all the specialty pieces and then shuffling them up so nobody knows which one is which. Then we take the spinner and spin it, and using the spinner we take turns, one each player. There's only 2 players, and we place each of the 10 specialty markers where the spinner tells us to put them. This makes each game unique because it's very unlikely, unless you force it to, that you will place all 10 markers in the exact same sectors of the zone. Now the spinner does not include the landing zone. It does include the neutral zone. So after all of the pieces are placed, then game can truly begin. And you can place all these pieces without the board being on the spire, and simply place the board on the spire after it's set up. To play Respect My Personal Space, each player rolls the die to see who has the highest score. The asteroid counts as a 5, and the rocket counts as a 6. In this case, green wins the roll, and so they place an astronaut in the landing zone. Then they roll the die and move their astronaut that number of places. Then purple places an astronaut and rolls the die and moves their piece that number of places. And this continues back and forth until one player succeeds in capturing a complete outer zone, either yellow, red, green, or blue. Now, with the specialty markers in place, you have to either decide, I'm going to remove that marker or I'm not. And if you can't take over that particular sector, which means you can't take over that zone. So eventually some of the mystery markers will be played. And when they do, the player fulfills the function from whatever that marker showed. So purple removed one marker already, and now purple is removing another. When you play that part, you leave your astronaut on it until you're ready to move that astronaut to another location. When you do move that astronaut, then you do remove the specialty marker. You win the game by filling an outer zone with only your astronauts. So 12 astronauts in an outer zone, and you win. Check us out at dangeraware.org.